What up, tube? Back at you. It's been a long time coming, but they can get on out. Let me cut this off real quick. It's been a long time. Been working on my house, trying to get that all renovated. So, got it to a point where the wife ain't gonna be on my back. So I'm out here. So I've been working on this. Now it's cold. I'm in Ohio, so it's cold. So I went and brought me salamander, or whatever you want to call these things. Some people call them salamanders. Some people call them just kerosene heaters. But I went and brought me one of these. It's still cold out here. I can still see my breath, but it definitely knocks the chill off, especially when I'm working. Just kind of have it pointed near my direction. But anyway, let's get to what I'm working on right now. Came out, I wanted to start working on the gapping of this door. And at the bottom, the concave was a little bit off. So I worked on dollying that in, getting the concave to somewhat match this right here. I'm gonna finish working this, pull this out just a little bit more. I wanna bang it out just a little bit more, get that concave very close to this, because then I'm going to make sure that I fill it and make sure that I sand it down and make sure it's nice and straight. The other issue that I ran into was the way the gap is on a door. Now, this door is level, it's straight. It's gonna be as straight as it's gonna get. You can see that line going all the way across. The door is straight, so that tells me that the quarter is a little high. And so what my thought is that I'm going to do, one, it's high and it's back. So what I'm going to do is, they already started to pie it, but realistically, I wanted my car back. I wasn't 100% happy with the work that was being done. So they told them to patch it up and I'll finish it. But what I'm going to do is, the first cut is going to come from the inside. I'm going to probably start from like right in here, but it's going to be, open this up. It's going to be, I'll probably cut from like right in here, and I'll just follow this line here, come in just a little bit and go all the way up this way and follow this whole body, the way the fender curves, and then come up here and come down this way to about right here. What that allowed me to do is, now that that's closed, it'll allow me to bring all of this out. If you can see how far in it is, it'll allow me to bring this fender out this way. Once I have the fender out this way, then I have to work on gapping. I'll be able to bring it out this way. Then I'll get it all welded in, and then I'll come back over through this way and come down this seam here, gap it over this way. And then after I gap it that way, then I'll work on cutting this down and back like this and pieing it to drop it, so everything will run straight with the door. All right, too, packing it up for the night. I'll probably come out and hit it tomorrow. So started. I got it kind of jimmy rigged up, man. Trying to get it all opened up, but it's getting there. As you can see, I got a split here. Now I end up filling that. I actually have it hooked up to this little elliptical. I got it pulled, got some tension on it. And then what I did was, I used some shims so I can keep it open. And I'm just kind of trial and error, just shimming it open. You can see how much I have it open. And then I'll get some metal and I'll fill that whole thing back in. My main thing, I didn't really want to mess with this little concave here. So I'm trying my best to stay away from it, but I had to get on here to bring that up. But you can see it's starting to open up. I'm going to open up. My line is down to here where I need to open it, and it's as open as I need here. I do need to get it a little bit more open here. and then I'll open this back up top, and then bend the metal back so it's straight across. Get that all welded in. Then the next cut would be straight down. Actually, I'm gonna probably go this way and pie it to drop this whole area here. Probably cut into here, cut into here, and drop that whole area. So just stay tuned, Tube. I'll try to get back some more of this footage. Try to get back on it, but you can get an idea. It's actually coming together. I just have this big gap that I have to really cut down here and stretch everything over. But for the most part, everything is looking good. It's come up pretty significantly. I want to shim it over just a little bit more, and then we'll call it good. So it's fitting real good right down in here. Actually, it's a little high right here, so I can tap that down, but it's fitting pretty solid. Once I get all of this welded up top here, and I know that it's not going to move, I can move the shims out, and then I can bang that down a little bit, and then I'm gonna end up fixing this gap anyway, so I'm not worried about it. So, and I gotta block the whole car, so we'll get it straight. Anyway, too, just stay tuned, and I'll get back at you. All right, too, back at you. Was able to get everything where I wanted it. It's pretty much A1 right now as far as flowing right into here. It's probably just a smidge low, but I'm gonna have a little bit of filler in there, and I think I'm just nitpicking, but right now it's the body lines line up. Everything is good. I don't want to mess with this too much. It's a little low right here. I'm gonna try to get a little bit more out of it, but I don't want to mess up that body line. But everything else, it's smooth all the way down. And what I did was, I just have some, you can see how much it had to come out. That's pretty big, but I just had to jimmy rig it, man. I had to find some, what do you call those, shims, and I had some cutoff wheels that I wasn't using, and to keep it pried open all the way through. So what I'll do is, I cut it all the way down here. What I'll do is, I'll start stitch welding it to about right here, and then I'll go ahead and start cutting out metal, hit that, and then hit above it, and then I'll remove the shims, and then I'll fill that in, and I'll do the same thing up to here, same thing, remove shims, and then fill that in, and then I kind of do the whole thing here, but it's not, close it, everything is lined up on it, everything is straight on it as far as it is concerned on coming out. All right, Tube, back at you. So, working on the Chevelle, as you can see. It's pretty cold out here, but with my little heater on, it actually knocks that cold off. But anyway, back to the Chevelle. Working on that, and I started to pie it, started to fill it, and then I noticed something. Hold on, let me get the camera turned around, and I'll show you. Yeah, so what I noticed was, when I pied it open, this is where the door, that part of the door is, or sorry, excuse me, the quarter, how it comes over. But doing some research, it's supposed to line up directly with the door here, so that's why it's over this much. Now, I had it all filled in and moved over, but then I looked on the other side, and I'll show you the other side real quick. On this side, you see how it's damn near flush to it? I might have to move this over just a smidge, just pie it real quick, right around in here, and just move that over. But you see how it's over, and it basically lines up here. So that's what I need to do on the other side. So in order to do that on the other side, gotta grab what you got around the shop or around your garage. And if I pry on this enough, it'll start to move everything over. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pry it all over, and then I'm gonna weld it from there, and that should bring everything over. What I did was I cut this part right here, and then I already had all of this welded in, and I started to weld this in. What I did was I just cut all that back out, and then I'm gonna try to move everything over. So just stay tuned. I'll bring you some more of that footage. All right, tube, back at you. So got everything where I want it. You can see that the top part is down and over more. It's also out more. I have to still finish doing a couple other things, but you can see the gap on that is straight on through, up and through. What I did was I used some shims, some body shims, and I got it the width that I wanted. Then I welded those together, and then I welded one on the top part of the door up there, one at the middle part of the door, right here at the middle, and down at the bottom. So once I cut everything down, only thing I had to do was move it over to the shims. Once I moved it over to the shims, I tack welded the cut part to the shim that was welded to the door. So that kept my gap all the way through. Then I lined my panel back up, and then I welded all the way through with, I used some rod, some round stock like this here. I used some round stock and some sheet metal for some of the other smaller places. So it worked out really well. I'm gonna do the other side, but I have to finish up some things here. But yeah, just stay tuned, and I'll bring you some more of this footage. All right, what up, tube? Coming at you. So this is after I finished gapping what I needed to do. Everything is looking good, but I wanted my gaps to be no more than 4 mils thick. So went out today to Lowe's, bought some round stock, and I'm gonna weld the round stock in. And so that will make basically go from this gap to a more tighter gap, this gap here, which that's what I want. That's a 4 mil gap. I use my, I forgot what you call this, but I use this tool here. Got it set at 4 mil. And so that's what I'm gonna basically do. I'll weld that in, and then this is gonna be my marker for all the way around on all my gaps, 4 mil, just to make sure that the gaps are real nice and tight. I'll get started on that probably maybe today, we'll see. But after I get this gap done, then I'll work my way around. Still have some cleanup to do on my welds and stuff. So yeah, just stay tuned too. I'll get at you and bring you some more of this footage. All right, tube, so I got my rod welded in. I had a couple different size rods. I went with this rod right here. It is, I wanna say it's a, give me 1 second. It's an 1/8 inch rod. I have another rod over there that it's a little bit thicker that I'm gonna end up using on that side just because I don't have to stretch everything over. But as you can see, the gap is, I mean, almost as A1 as you're gonna get. Now I'm gonna do my measurements. I only want 4 mils of opening. That's pretty much what is on the newer vehicles, about 4 mil thickness. But as you can see, I have this side all welded in, and I also have it grounded down. I have to do the inside of it and ground it down as well. But you can see how close that gap is now. That's the way I want my gaps on all the doors. So this is the not the finished product, but as close to the finished product. And I gotta do some more measurements, get an idea of what I need to take off and how much and where. And then I'll go about doing that. Once I get that all dialed in, then I'm done with gapping this whole door. All right, tube, so where I left off at, I welded the back end all the way through. I sanded it all or grinded it all down so that's flat. Now I can see that obviously the door wasn't going to be, the gap wasn't going to be all the way through the same size. So where I have my black marker at, that's where it starts to get a little bit skinnier. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my micrometer or whatever the hell you call this thing here. Not 100% sure what you call it, but I know how to use it, so that's a good thing. But this here, and basically it should be set up to 4 mil, right at 398. So if I pull it, it'll be at 4 mil. So I'm just gonna go through and I'm gonna check, make sure that everything on there is gonna be 4 mil. Where it's not 4 mil at, I'm gonna mark, and that's where I'm gonna either take or add metal in, basically grind or add a little weld to it to get it to 4 mil. And then we'll go from there. So stay tuned and I'll bring you some more of this footage. All right, tube, so this is gonna be a wrap for this side. I have everything spec'd out to, I have a little bit of a tolerance in it. It's between 3.97 mil and 4.03 mils. So that's what it's all spec'd out to. I'll be able to get everything dialed in a little bit more when I do the actual bodywork aspect of it. But I'm gonna leave it for right here, for right now. It's at a point where people aren't gonna really know unless you come up with a micrometer and you put it on top of it and try to figure out what's the mil and all that other stuff. Like, people aren't gonna know. It's gonna look real nice and crisp. But I'm done with that side, so I'm gonna move on to the next part, the next side of it, and get that all dialed in. And I'll bring you some more footage of that, or when I get something else other than doing the gapping on the doors. This one, the other one on the other side, is a little bit easier, straightforward. I don't have to cut anything or slice anything, pie anything. I can show you real quick. So I don't know if I'm gonna do a video on it, just because, as you can see, this is how big the gap is. The other side, the gap was very similar in that. If you look at the bottom, you can see how it doesn't concave with this right here. So I have to work that. And then once I get that worked, I'll start on the gap. You can see how big the gap is. Let me put that tool on there so I can get an idea of what size that gap is. So let's roll this out. Just give you an idea. This is how wide that gap is. It's almost 10.27 millimeters wide, and I want to get it down to somewhere around 4. So let's just say somewhere around here. That's where I want to get it to. So I have to bring it all the way in. This right here, this rod measures, at 4.64. So when you add that, that'll drop it down to somewhere around 6 to 5 mils, and then add a little weld on it, and then it'll work out. So this one is not as bad as the other side. I don't have to reshape this as much. I didn't have to pie it. The other side was actually bigger. It was actually wider. So again, it was the way that they put the quarters on. And I noticed that when I was finishing up the the gapping for the trunk and all of that stuff, and making the bumper smaller. I noticed that, so I had to compensate on that as well, just to make it, you know, fit and look good. So anyway, just stay tuned too, and yeah, I'll bring back some more of this footage. Hopefully I get a chance to continue to come back down in here. All right, I'll holler at you.